Let's take a look at Monday's action. So the end of last week, we were rallying a bit. We come into the Sunday reopen, and we're in the garbage part of the overnight session. A little bit of selling. DAX was down last night. Kind of from the EU markets, or some selling leading up to the EU markets open, and in the beginning of it, and then the market stabilized a bit. Now, one thing I was noticing this morning, I'm always, and I show this in our training section that I'm going to show you. So what do we start getting? Higher pivot lows and all kinds of W patterns. And leading right up to the US cash session open, we had a beautiful W pattern in and amongst a market that's showing nothing but higher pivot lows. And off we go to the races. So my automation didn't catch that trade because that was before the time window when I start trading, which is 8:32 U.S. Central Time going forward. Caught this trade, and the way that I use my stop management, I was basically one and done. Now we did have some key NVIDIA news. I think hit it right about in this area. NVIDIA was trading around 177-ish and went well over the 180s and gave some more extension. So that was a pretty easy day. Now we had multiple momentum burst signals. We had one just right before the open. We had institutional activity. And what it is the markets, there has to be a certain pattern of linear price movement. So in other words, the candlesticks have to form and populate a certain way to get the signal. And there's some metrics we're looking at in that information. And what typically causes that is a high, in this case for lift, is a high uptick to downtick bias to how the candlesticks are formed. And the way that the candles open and close is what we're looking at. We see that. So we had on what I typically use for my trading, at least for how I went into today, I had 1, 2, 3 long signals. Now, when you're in a long signal, the automation will not take additional signals as long as you're still in active trade, and that's fine. Just it's going and going and going. I blipped out the trade manually when I hit my daily profit objective, and because the market was lifted up, pressing new highs, I didn't need to leave the trade on and see if I could get more and more. That wasn't my objective on the day. Uh, in one of my accounts, I'm getting ready to, now that we've had a very significant extension, this is a huge statistical extension above the bands. I'm getting ready if at any point we get a short signal, momentum burst signal, I'll take a shot at that in one of my accounts that I do manual trading. So I'm sitting on my hands right now, but I wanted to go over the overall pattern of things here. We had very, easy to see ascending pivots, and we had that W pattern leading right into the open and lift. So coming into the US Open and through the US Open, very likely you'd be hoping for a pullback to get in. We did get it, and then we got our first mom signal after. And I like to take trades, 8:32 a.m. U.S. Central Time, and late. That's the time when I like to let my automation start looking for trades. So that one triggered, and then it just kind of kept going and going and going. At no point did any, price pivot ever get taken out so far today. And then that NVIDIA news came out, gave us that last extension so far. So this is a very high area probability for reversal, especially when we get the amount of distance of price movement above the upper band. That's like a, back the truck up area to take a shot at any sort of reversal or momentum signal there. Not necessarily that it's going to go all the way and trade back to the other side, but that you can get a successful trade out of it. So I'm kind of watching for any possible reversal that would then give any sort of momentum signal to the downside. Or who knows, we could grind up all day long. But one big important thing I really want to point out with this method of trading, if you just sit back and just learn to get on an instrument, a time frame you like, and just follow our training. The beauty is when you get these horrendously boring grinding days where the market stays unidirectional, it's almost like there isn't even two-sided trade. It's just like grinding algorithms to the buy side. What do mom signals do? They're 95% of the time in alignment with that trend. They always keep you on the right side because as institutional activity is pulsing in and growing in momentum, as the trend initiates, develops, and then continues to run, you're going to get signals in alignment with that trend. So it's almost, it can go from trading and picking good points in an oscillating market with really high precision to then making sure you're on the right side of a directional trade where the market just stays in one direction for a large part of the day. Another really important part of our program when you do come on board, we have a Algo IQ Start Here section that is in a specific order to get you set up right away with what we call left-hand chart and right-hand chart settings, where I diligently go video by video, show you exactly how to set up your charts, and just that way everybody's on the same sheet of music with at least one of our base methods of working the market. And then I do have templates and specific instruments, CL, GC, ES, cover a lot of NQ stuff. We have templates and so on. So the entire Start Here section is utilized to get you up right away, up and running with exactly how you should set up your charts. And then when it comes to our main page, some of the stuff that some of the traders are doing and some of the equity curves that they're pulling off do not surprise me at all because the momentum burst signals are a precision way of trading mechanically with very defined amount of risk per trade. But when you're jumping into pulses of momentum, having a high probability of some positive price movement in your intended direction right out of the entry of the trade. And then since this is a limited access program and we only allow so many slots access per month, the traders I've been exceptionally proud of how well they've been sharing stuff together and so on. We do have a trade examples room. We have a main room. We have other rooms where we have downloads and so on. So traders have been doing a fantastic job of sharing, how they're using the tools and how they're doing with the tools. In closing, I just wanted to say when you take a precision entry-based signal approach, combine it with bracketed logic-based money management that's very defined, where you have a small amount of risk per trade, but your reward is 3-to-1, 4-to-1, 5-to-1 or greater. Now you're doing all your trading and where everything is very structured and defined, and that will give you a massive advantage over trying to figure out what the heck the market's doing from one day to the next. And on these days where we just get very linear price movement and the market just grinds and grinds and grinds, you're not sitting there fighting it. Every trade signal you get is putting you in the right direction of the predominant price action for the day. That makes you where you don't have to think as much. Just get the signals and execute your trades. I have one other video I'll put out today showing you some really simplistic ways to do intraday position trading. So you can trade with small amount of position size but catch the bigger moves. Okay, have a fantastic day, and we'll talk to you guys later.